Benjamin Franklin was born on January 17, 1706, in Boston, to Josiah and Abia Folger Franklin. Benjamin was one of 17 children by his father, who was a soap and candle maker. Benjamin learned to read at an early age and attended the Boston Latin School. However, he dropped out of school at the age of 10 to work with his father in the candle and soap shop. When Franklin was 12, he worked under his older brother James at his print shop. He learned a lot about newspaper publishing and politics, even though his older brother treated him poorly and wouldn't publish Benjamin's writings. At 16, he wrote under the pseudonym Miss Silence Dogood, and the readers of the New England Current enjoyed Benjamin's writings. His brother found out and was enraged. In 1723, he moved to Philadelphia and stayed at the home of John Reed. During his time there, he courted Deborah Reed, the landlord's daughter. William Keith, the governor of Pennsylvania, asked Benjamin to set up a print shop in England. He went, but his plans fell through, and he had to look for work in London. In 1726, Benjamin began courting Deborah again. Her husband-to-be had abandoned her before the wedding. Franklin married Deborah in 1730, and at the same time, he had a son named William out of wedlock. The couple raised William together, and they had their first son, Francis, in 1732, but he died from smallpox 4 years later. They also had a daughter named Sarah. Throughout his life, Benjamin worked many jobs. He was a bookkeeper, shopkeeper, and currency cutter. In 1728, he began in the printing press business. He printed paper currency and government books and pamphlets. In 1729, Franklin published a pamphlet, The Modest Inquiry into the Nature and Necessity of a Paper Currency. He became the official printer of Pennsylvania. He formed a social group where members debated and discussed philosophy, politics, and other topics. Franklin helped create the Library Company of Philadelphia in 1731. He purchased the Pennsylvania Gazette newspaper, and it became the most read paper in the colonies, and it turned a profit. He also created the first German-language newspaper, but it did not have as much success. Franklin published the first Poor Richard's Almanac in 1732, and by 1748, Benjamin was one of the richest men in Pennsylvania. He became a soldier in the Pennsylvania militia. He handed his printing press over to a partner so he could focus on scientific experiments. He moved into a new house in 1748. Franklin purchased his first of several slaves to work in his new house and in the print shop. Franklin's views on slavery changed over the following decades, to the point that he considered the institution inherently evil, and he freed his slaves in the 1760s. In 1757, Franklin was appointed to the Pennsylvania Assembly to serve as the colony's agent in England. Franklin sailed to England to negotiate a long-standing dispute with the proprietors of the colony, the Penn family, taking William and his 2 slaves, but leaving behind Deborah and Sarah. Benjamin helped his son William become the New Jersey's royal governor in 1762. When Benjamin supported the rebels during the Revolutionary War, it put him and his son on opposite sides. Franklin would go to London again, and Deborah didn't go with him. His trip in 1764 would be the last time they saw each other. Deborah died of a stroke in 1774 at the age of 66. William was eventually imprisoned by the New Jersey militia. Throughout his life, Benjamin invented many objects and tools that we use today. Some inventions were the Franklin stove, bifocals, the almanac, which is a musical instrument, a rocking chair, flexible catheter, and American penny. When talking about Benjamin Franklin, you must talk about his most important discovery with electricity. In 1752, Franklin invented the lightning rod after he conducted the famous kite and key experiment. Franklin also discovered the Gulf Stream, which cut 2 weeks off the trip from Europe to North America. Franklin even devised a new scheme for the alphabet that proposed to eliminate the letters C, J, Q, W, X, and Y as redundant. It did not catch on. Benjamin was elected to many political offices throughout his life. He was a Philadelphia alderman, a representative to the Pennsylvania Assembly, and he was the Deputy Postmaster General of North America. During the French and Indian War, Franklin called on the colonies to come together. Franklin presented his plan of union to the Albany Congress, but it was not ratified. After Franklin returned to Philadelphia in 1762, he toured the colonies to inspect the post offices. When the Stamp Act was passed in 1765, people thought Franklin supported the new tax and threatened to burn his house down. Franklin didn't support the tax and testified against it in Parliament. Franklin wrote another pamphlet, Causes of the American Discontents before 1768, and he soon became an agent of Massachusetts, Georgia, and New Jersey as well. In 1775, Franklin was elected to the Second Constitutional Congress and appointed the first Postmaster General of the colonies. In 1776, he was appointed Commissioner to Canada. Franklin was one of 5 men to draft the Declaration of Independence. After voting for independence in 1776, Franklin was elected Commissioner to France, making him the first U.S. ambassador to France. Franklin returned to the United States in 1785. Franklin was elected in 1787 to represent Pennsylvania at the Constitutional Convention. At the age of 81, he supported the Great Compromise. In 1787, he helped found the Society of Political Inquiries, dedicating to improving knowledge of government. Franklin was never elected President of the United States. However, he is on Mount Rushmore. Later in life, he became more adamant about his position against slavery. Franklin served as president of the Pennsylvania Society of Promoting the Abolishment of Slavery and wrote many tracts urging to abolish slavery. In 1790, he petitioned the U.S. Congress to end slavery and the trade. Franklin died on April 17, 1790, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at his daughter Sarah's home. He was 84 and suffered from different ailments. He left most of his estate to Sarah and very little to his son William, who he still had hard feelings for. During the Revolutionary War, William was imprisoned, and Benjamin did not help to get him free. He is buried at the cemetery of Philadelphia's Christ Church. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Benjamin Franklin. He was an inventor, politician, and founding father of the United States, who helped draft the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. He was well known and respected throughout the land, but like all humans, he wasn't perfect. I don't have any knowledge of Franklin ever being in Kentucky, so his connection to Kentucky is his name. Franklin County are named after him. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/kyhistorypod to get a free book of your choosing. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Kentucky history content. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/kyhistorypod. Find us on these social media platforms and check out the Kentucky History Podcast on these podcast platforms for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.